Hello there. I want to just put it out there that I don't use Reddit as much as many of you here. I lurk here at times, but usually I don't use this platform much. It's funny that I'm going to write a post here because I never thought it would be useful for me, but life had other plans, I guess. Okay, that's it with my stupid introduction. I don't want to rant, but forgive me if I do. I'm 23 years old right now. When I was 17, I got hit by a drunk driver and it pretty much destroyed my life. I was in a coma for more than a month, and when I woke up, my legs were there, but they weren't going to work like before. Everyone said that it was a miracle I survived because they were pretty sure I would die from the blood loss or from internal bleeding. I survived, but didn't walk away totally healthy. I was a super athletic woman and used to be a gymnast. I say used to be because I can't do what I used to do before. I need a wheelchair now and can occasionally walk on crutches when it's a good day. I have very little memory of the accident, but I do remember what life was like before it happened. I went from being an active, happy girl to a sad mess with severe disabilities. I became a burden on my parents too. Their words, not mine. I did get some money from the courts, but it was mostly spent on medical bills and aftercare. My parents became my caretakers, and I could see that they slowly started to distance themselves from me. That day, I woke up and started working to get my life back on track. I pushed depressive thoughts aside and I studied hard so that I could get into a good college like me and my parents had always wanted. I didn't want to be a burden on them because I knew it would kill our relationship. I could already see it happening, so I was determined to beat the odds and achieve my dreams of going to college and landing a great job after graduation. I graduated from school with flying colors, but it seemed to have no effect on my parents. They half heartedly congratulated me and left it at that. I was disappointed, but I was convinced that they would be happier once I went to college. A few days later, they dropped a bombshell on me. They told me that they would give my college fund to my maternal cousin. This was my mother's sister's son, who was also my age. He had decent grades but couldn't get a scholarship. His parents are gamblers and live on whatever the family drops in their begging bowl. My parents decided that since my aunt couldn't send her own son to college, they would. And me? I would be left on my own. I tried, but I couldn't stop them from doing this. I knew that I wouldn't qualify for a scholarship because of my parents' income. I couldn't ask them for the settlement money because I didn't want to seem like a money hungry, selfish girl. I couldn't do much other than see them hand over the money to my cousin. In only a year's time, all my dreams were crushed forever. It ruined my mental sanity. I was too depressed and I was nearly suicidal. My parents stopped paying attention to me and didn't even notice that I had gone completely silent. My best friend was a lifesaver for me. She recognized signs of depression and also identified the fact that I was considering ending my life. When my parents weren't home one day, she staged an intervention with some other friends and told me to get away as fast as possible. I mostly gave in because I knew they wouldn't back down. So I left the house the next day and only left a note on the fridge telling my parents that I was leaving and they don't need to take care of a burden anymore. I wish I could tell you that I immediately made it big and turned my life around. The truth is that I fell into deep depression after leaving my childhood home. It probably started even before I made the move. I slowly became a shell of a person. It took me 2 whole years to overcome that. My friends were lifesavers for me. They took me to a psychiatrist and got me the help I needed. Initially, they sponsored everything for me and even housed me for free. Then, two of my friends started a company and gave me a job there. I started working under them and made a living for myself through their help. All this happened in a span of 2 years. I won't go into details of everything that happened because that was a particularly dark time in my life that I don't want to talk about more than necessary. I'm just glad that I had great friends and a loving grandfather who saved my life in more ways than one. I kept working at my friend's company and later took over when they expressed their interest in selling their shares. I had some savings with me, but not enough to buy them out completely. That's when my grandpa stepped in and gave me the money, which enabled me to get sole ownership of the company. I did offer grandpa some shares in his name, but he said he wasn't an investor. He was just a grandpa who helped his granddaughter achieve a part of her dream. I can't be thankful enough for my grandpa and my friends. Over the years, they have become my one true family. They helped me recover from deep depression and managed to help me reach the top. After I took over the company, I used a few strategies to make it more successful. I'm proud to say that it helped the company make a new name for itself. It's not a household name yet, but it's getting close. My friends and grandpa are super proud of me, of course. As for my parents, that's why I'm here asking for advice. 5 years passed and I didn't see or hear from my parents at all. But a week ago, they suddenly showed up at my doorstep. I don't know how they managed to find my apartment, but they did. They looked at me tearfully and started to say that they missed me. I was so shocked to see them out of the blue that I remained silent. They went on about how they had heard that I overcame all odds and made it big. They even brought along the newspaper where an article was published on me and my business. I had recently interviewed with a newspaper about being a businesswoman with disabilities, and the story had been going viral. Maybe that's how they knew that I had become successful. They told me how proud they are that someone from their family became so successful in life. Hearing that, I started laughing and told them that I was no family of theirs. My friends were present at the apartment that day because we were having a party, and they started laughing along with me as well. My parents looked stunned when I told them that my friends are my new family, and I don't have anything to do with the one who discarded my future and basically called me a failure. My parents had started to argue, but my friends stepped in and somehow got them out of the apartment. We went back to partying and even made a few jokes, but I kept feeling a little uneasy. The next day, they kept sending me texts, begging me to meet them so that we could rebuild our relationship and let go of the past. I have received hundreds of texts in the past week, and I'm getting really tired of all this. I don't know what to do now, so I'm asking for an opinion here. Should I meet them or something? Or should I just ignore them? I highly doubt that they genuinely want to change, but I don't think they will stop harassing me if I don't meet with them. Edit. Just going to put in this edit to make some things clear. Some of you wanted to know why my parents assumed that I wouldn't go to college when I was so excited about it before. Well, they knew I wanted to go to college, but they didn't think I deserved it. I literally overheard them telling my aunt that a burden like her shouldn't be going to college. Yeah, they thought that college and the college fund would be wasted on me because of my disability. I still tried to talk to them about college. I was in tears and repeatedly begging them not to crush my dreams. They didn't care one bit. They just told me that I should be grateful they spent so much money on me already and shouldn't beg for their money anymore. I had dredged myself so much that I didn't stop begging till the very end. I was already an emotional mess after the accident, and realizing that the accident was taking away way more than I thought was just devastating. My self respect and self worth were down in the dumps, but I didn't even care. I was desperate for a chance to get my life back on track and at least achieve a part of my dreams. My parents weren't moved by my passion or my begging at all. They actually made a show of giving my cousin the college fund at his birthday party. Yes, I was invited, and I quietly cried while they handed him the check. I guess my parents wanted me to see this happen in person so that I would stop begging them for money. Pretty much soon after, I left the house with the help of my best friend. No, my parents never tried to contact me. I think they pretty much threw a celebration for themselves once I left. I could clearly see that they resented having to take care of me. I did tell a few family members what happened. Most of my maternal relatives took my parents' side and had similar thought processes. However, my grandpa, or my dad's father, wasn't too thrilled about their decision. He was informed about the fact after my parents had already handed over the check to my cousin. I didn't reach out to him because I didn't want to bother him. Actually, no, who am I kidding, guys? I didn't reach out to Grandpa sooner because I was sure my parents wouldn't give away my future to someone else. Maybe that's my fault because I thought my parents were decent people who loved and supported their daughter no matter what. You also asked why my grandpa never offered to go to college. Well, he did. But at that point, I was too mentally messed up and deep in depression to actually make good use of the opportunity. It took me 2 whole years to come out of that depressive state. By that point, I was happy working at the company and didn't really feel like taking a big break and going off to college. My grandpa then offered to invest, and the rest is history. Yes, I do get sad sometimes knowing that I couldn't go to college, but I am content with what I have right now. Update 1. I really don't know what I was expecting when I made this post. It was an extremely impulsive act that was encouraged by my friends. They were the ones who kept telling me how Reddit gives good advice and how people can get a lot of support from this place. They never outright told me to post because they know me well enough to know that I would have immediately been against that. I won't lie, but I have become very difficult to deal with after my accident. I'm doing much better after coming out of my depression, but I am still very cold at times and shut down very easily. A lot of you have praised my friends for being there for me. You guys are absolutely right. I am super lucky to have my stupid friends in my life. Here, guys, I know you will read this, so here is your validation. Anyway, I know that I am the luckiest person on earth to have friends who care about me more than my parents ever could. I wouldn't have been here without them. I'm sure of it. Some of you wanted to know why I left the business. Well, they had other dreams and wanted to pursue them. My current business was just an experiment of sorts for them. I know we are crazy, but we are what we are. Ironically, two of them left to go to college and actually get a business degree. On the other hand, two of them who actually came up with the idea of the business ended up selling their shares to me and started a venture in a different industry. I know that it's hard for you to believe that a bunch of 18-year-olds could be like this. Trust me, there are plenty of people like us. We didn't create a business worth millions or anything. It was just big enough to be noticed by people. That's it. They taught me everything they could, and I hired some people with my grandpa's help to help me run the business. I won't lie and say that I am solely responsible for making the business as big as it is now. Anyway, so now that we have that out of the way, let me tell you about the real update here. So I know that all of you had told me to tell my parents to go kick rocks, but I ended up doing something else. Curiosity got the best of me, and I really wanted to know how they had planned to excuse their behavior. Also, there is the fact that I wanted to confront them at least once because I was too weak to do it in the past. And yeah, I also wanted to rub my success in their faces a little. What can I say? I'm not a good person. I have actually contacted my parents and told them that I would give them one meeting and nothing more. I'm extremely unsure about how this is going to go, but I guess we will wait and see. I have actually told my grandpa everything as well. He surprisingly told me that I should meet up with him at least once, even if it's to get closure. He is not in the best health right now, so I don't have it in me to disappoint him. As much as he hates what my parents did to me, it seems like he wants me to meet them anyway. So I am going to do it. Sorry if I disappointed you with this, but don't be mad at me. I don't know if you guys will be too mad for an update, so please leave a comment if you still want to know how things went down. Update 2. Okay, wow, you guys are more forgiving than I am. I really thought that I would receive a barrage of bad comments calling me all kinds of names after my last update. Most of you had told me to just ignore my parents and move on with my life. I kind of went and did the opposite of that. I met up with them and talked to them. I was surprised to see a lot of comments on my last update, and not many of them were negative. You guys really wanted to know what happened, so I decided to make an update. To all of you who said that I would become a doormat and let my parents back into my life again, well, sorry to disappoint you. I did nothing of the sort. Frankly speaking, I'm kind of glad that I met up with my parents. If I hadn't, I would have forever wondered if they were genuinely sorry and really wanted me back in their lives. They were sorry, all right, but not really for the right reasons. I will get to that shortly. I met up with them at a neutral location because I didn't want to go to their place and didn't want them to think that they were welcome at my place. So I chose an accessible coffee shop. My parents actually looked super happy to see me. They seemed a little too happy to see me. I somehow dodged their attempts at getting a hug and sat down to talk. I asked them why they wanted to be back in my life so suddenly, and they went on a rant about how much they missed me and how they really wanted to be close to their daughter again. When I asked them what happened to the cousin who they had prioritized over their daughter, they looked uncomfortable and said that he doesn't stay in touch anymore. That's all my parents said, which even slightly touched on what happened in the past. It was like they were purposefully avoiding bringing up what they did. They only talked about how it was a shame we drifted apart and how proud they were that I achieved success in life. I let them speak for a while before they started to talk about how I should meet up again and maybe I could move back home so that we could be a family again. And that's when I turned cold as ice and straight up told them that it would never happen. My parents had the audacity to look confused and said, "Why was I being so rude to them?" And that's when the dam broke and I started to angrily rant at them about how betrayed I felt at their actions. I poured out my feelings and kept talking till I was satisfied that I had said it all. My parents thankfully kept their heads down and just listened. When I was done, my mother just meekly said that they had made a mistake and they were sorry. I told them that since they were so carefully avoiding the past and pretending that everything is fine, they clearly weren't genuine when they said that they were sorry. I pointed out how they never even bothered to reach out to me before and didn't have a crap about where their disabled daughter went and how she survived after leaving their house. While I was talking, I could sense that the conversation wasn't going anywhere, and I felt even worse than before in knowing that my parents were trying to just avoid the issue and treat it like it was a small deal. So I started to get up and leave. And that's when my parents hurried and told me not to go because they really needed my help. I was a little shocked at that and immediately asked them what they were talking about. Well, turns out my mom and dad are in debt, and my mom's family has a gambling problem, and it looks like it made its way to my mother and father at the same time. This probably happened after they kept spending time with my cousin's parents, who are gamblers. I think I already mentioned that in my first post. My parents got sucked in as well and are now on the verge of losing the house. Yes, things have been bad. Turns out they were hoping I would help them out because I have a successful business now, so I have the means to do it. I was right. The sole reason they reached out wasn't because they felt guilty or finally realized their mistakes. They reached out because they needed money from me. At that point, I just left the cafe and went back home. I had already informed security at my flat that my parents weren't allowed inside, so I knew I would be safe there. I went home and cried a lot. I felt really broken because I couldn't believe that my parents could be so selfish and heartless. I got a little sad but quickly recovered because I have more anger in me now than ever. It has been less than 24 hours since we met up, and I haven't told anyone what happened. I just wanted to come back here and share this with you guys. If my friends see this, I will probably be safe from explaining everything to them again. I am just extremely frustrated right now. I don't know what will happen now, so I guess I have to wait and see. Update 3. Hi guys, it's been quite a few days and I had to come back with an update because you guys are spamming me like crazy. I was a little surprised to know that many of you are concerned about me spiraling back into depression again after the last incident. I'm so sorry to make you guys worry. Like I said, I was sad, but I was more angry than that. I knew that I shouldn't let my frustrations fester, so I saw my old therapist after 2 days. She helped me calm down a lot and make peace with my decision. Some of you had doubts about me and thought that I would end up helping my parents out in the end. Again, I am not a doormat, guys. I never once said that I would be helping them out. That was never an option for me. I was just unsure about how things would pan out after I had rejected my parents. I knew that things were far from over, and I was right about that. My parents did not stop harassing me, even after I made it clear to them that I wouldn't help. I guess they thought that they could emotionally blackmail me into doing what they wanted. They even got my aunt and uncle to reach out to me. It was bad enough that my parents weren't leaving me alone. Then they also had to add my aunt and uncle to the mix. Thankfully, my aunt and uncle stayed away when I threatened to go to the cops for harassment. They are awfully scared of the cops, so that threat worked like a charm. My parents, however, were hard to get rid of. There's another major reason why they refused to leave me alone. After making the last update, some of you told me to go speak to my grandpa since he was the one insisting that I give my parents a chance. Some of you were suspicious that he was the one who gave away my address and phone number to my parents. Well, I asked the front desk for my phone number and address. They introduced themselves as my parents somehow and talked the receptionist into sharing my location. I believed they got my phone number through the company website. I had a talk with the girl at the reception, and she is awfully apologetic about it. I don't hold her accountable since I never really told everyone that I am no contact with my parents. That's on me. Don't worry though, because I have made sure to inform all my employees that my parents aren't allowed in the establishment and can't have any information about me. Anyway, Grandpa was pretty shocked when he heard why my parents were desperate to meet up with me. Mom and Dad had really convinced Grandpa that they were truly remorseful and regretted their actions. That's why Grandpa wanted me to give them a chance. Again, he is not in the best health right now, and it pains me to tell you guys that he won't be with me for long. My father is a single child, and my maternal relatives are pretty much cut off already. My grandpa just didn't want me to be completely alone once he passed. I know you guys have doubts, but I don't appreciate all the bad words about my grandpa. It was just wishful thinking on his end. He was never going to force a relationship between me and my parents. When I told him what happened, he was rightfully furious. He also said that he felt bad buying into their sob story and apologized for not thinking more clearly. I told him that he has nothing to apologize for. He also told me that he did have some selfish reasons for asking me to meet with my parents. Since he knows he doesn't have much time left, he was kind of in a bind about his will. After my parents reached out, he wanted to see if they had really changed or not. That would have decided their fate on his will. Now that the meeting is over and my parents clearly failed the test, my grandpa said that he had made a decision. He isn't leaving Dad anything. Grandpa is actually disowning him so he doesn't have to leave Dad even a cent. He is naming me as the sole inheritor, with a small part of his money going to charities of his choice. My grandpa had called my parents and informed them about his decision. He didn't want them bugging me or accusing me after he died. When my parents heard about this, they weren't happy at all. They first tried to change grandpa's mind, but when that didn't work, they amped up harassing me. I guess they were hoping that the money from grandpa's will would help pay for their debts. What a shame. Looks like they have ruined their relationship with grandpa for good this time. That's all I have for you right now. I'm still not sure what to do about the harassment, but I know that I have to do something. I'll probably make an update after I successfully get rid of them, but I can't promise you when that will happen. Update 4. Hi, guys. This is going to be my final update. I'm sorry, but this is going to be a short one. I know some of you are mad that I haven't posted in 3 months, but well, things happened, and I really wasn't in the mood to come back here. My grandpa has passed away already. It happened 11 days after my last update. He died of natural causes, of course, but that doesn't make it any less painful for me. I am officially an orphan now. I lost the only family who actually cared about me. There are my friends, of course, and they are my new family, like I always say. But Grandpa was just someone else, someone irreplaceable. Honestly, I'm still grieving and having a hard time with everything. That's another reason why I won't be back here again. Sad news aside, you guys will be happy to know that I got rid of my parents for good. I did have to get lawyers involved and sent them a cease and desist letter a few days after my update. And since then, they had stayed quiet, although for a short time. They did try to create chaos at my grandpa's funeral, but I got them kicked out immediately. They tried to contest the will, but couldn't get anyone to represent them. Last I heard, they lost their house and have been living out of their cars. So, do I feel sorry for them? Absolutely not. But it feels weird to know that my parents are homeless. That doesn't mean I will help them, though. I don't want to be their personal ATM. I'm not responsible for their bad decisions in life. I already have a lot on my plate right now, so I will concentrate on that. Thank you so much for reaching out and helping me deal with this issue with my parents. I am happy that things have been resolved on that end. So I'm just going to concentrate on dealing with my grief and not letting it affect my work for now. Sorry for this short update again, but I think it pretty much covers up the end of my failed opportunity to build a relationship with my parents. You guys just take care and hug your loved ones close because you never know how much time you have with them. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.